DTS has quite a history of DAS innovation that goes all the way back to the 1990s. We have successfully brought 9 generations of DAS products to market. I'm Mike Beckage, and this video gives an overview of the significant milestones in DTS DAS development. DTS was co-founded by Steve Pruitt, Tim Kippen, and myself in 1990, but before that we worked together in a number of industries such as forensic testing and automotive safety testing. For the first half of the 1990s, our business model was to do really custom engineering and data acquisition system development. However, in 1995, we realized the need for a modular data acquisition system that we could sell to various companies who are doing all kinds of testing. So let's start our tour of DTS DAS development with the very first TDAS module. We developed this between 1995 and 1997, and a lot of people ask, well, what does TDAS stand for? And we came up with a very clever name called Tiny Data Acquisition System because honestly, in 1995, this was pretty tiny. One of the great things about this module is it had 8 independent channels that could be programmed for different gains and so forth. And it even had a built-in backup battery in case something went wrong with the power source during a crash test. TDAS1 was well received by our customers, the first of which was Carco up in the high desert in California. They really loved it. It really served the need. However, we received market feedback, and within a year, we came out with a TDAS2 version of this module, which we still call TDAS2. It added more programmability and features that customers had requested, and it too was well received by the market. In the DTS spirit of innovation, we listened again to market feedback, and although TDAS1 and TDAS2 were really great products, we received feedback that led to the development of what we referred to as TDAS Pro. Now, TDAS Pro was really the 3rd generation data acquisition product and really finally included all of the features that we consider a full-featured DAS product needs to have. You might notice on this one that the serial number is CM0001. This module was built specifically to deliver to Chrysler Motor Corporation in 1999 so that they could actually validate that it met all of the needs they had for a crash test data acquisition system to replace their old system. Ongoing TDAS Generation 3 or TDAS Pro development led to a full line of modules that were designed to fit into a rack system in any order that made sense for a given test. The functionality included things like, of course, sensor input module functionality, but digital inputs and ability to fire airbags and seatbelt pretensioners. We even had a module that included high-speed Ethernet that could be plugged into a TDAS rack. The rack mounting systems that we developed to support TDAS Pro were really developed to provide the ultimate in flexibility for building test sizes all the way from a few channels to 200 or even 300 channels. Some of our customers had multiple racks, some 4 module racks, some 8 module racks that would be bolted into a car before they were crash testing that car. And it may not be apparent, but a lot of those tests that have dummies and vehicle sensors all over, they run between 200 and 300 measurements. And so sometimes there would be 2, 4, 6, or even more TDAS racks loaded with different modules to fire airbags, to measure the dummy accelerations and forces and angular rates, and all the vehicle sensors that they wanted to collect in order to quantify the vehicle dynamics. Before systems like TDAS Pro came along, it was very common for a lab doing a crash test to have a remote instrumentation location and a long cable connecting the instrumentation recording equipment to the car. We called that an umbilical. And when I first started working in crash testing in 1979, that's the only way we had to do it because there was no such thing as a small, reliable electronic recording device that you could actually put into a car crash. And so I spent a lot of the early 1980s sitting in an instrument van a few hundred feet from the crash test, connected to the vehicle with a long cable where I was just bringing the sensor signals from the car back to my recording location. So these systems really simplified the process of conducting a crash test with immediate data capture, immediate data recovery after the impact, and they really revolutionized the crash testing world. A key feature of really all the generations of DAS, but really starting in earnest with TDAS Pro, was the fact that they were fully self-contained data acquisition systems. Each one of the modules has a battery and a processor. The rack system has a battery and a processor. It is fully self-contained. You set it up by connecting a PC to one of the COM ports, you tell it what you want it to do, and then you send it off to collect the data during the test. After the test, you reconnect the PC and download the data from the memory that stored the data in each module to the PC for analysis. In 1999, DTS joined a consortium of companies working to develop the WorldSID Impact Dummy, or WorldSID. The concept for this dummy was to have a 224-channel internal data acquisition system. And the reason for this was, if you can imagine a test dummy or a Manikin with 224 cables coming out of it to connect it to even a really cool data acquisition system like TDAS Pro, the incredible bundle of wires coming out of the dummy would just be too much to deal with. And so the solution we proposed for WorldSID was a number of 32-channel data acquisition modules, and then tiny little sensor modules that could be located in or near the sensors in the ATD. Now, with 224-channel capacity, you can imagine it was quite an assembly of data acquisition systems, but it worked remarkably well when we delivered on the promise in 2001 and the first crash tests were run. Now, TDAS 4 was really a cool concept and worked really well for the WorldSID Alpha, which was the very first WorldSID dummy produced. But through workshops and feedback we received from the various stakeholders in the WorldSID process, we learned that they were really a lot more interested in a fully centralized but very small data acquisition solution for WorldSID. And so we immediately began working to develop what became known as TDAS Generation 5, or G5 for short. The key innovation in the TDAS G5 was really the fact that we had miniaturized all of the great functionality that we developed in the TDAS Pro days into this tiny module. And in fact, from a functional standpoint, the one G5 module actually duplicates the functionality almost entirely of 4 TDAS Pro modules. And so you can really see the size and mass advantage that G5 offered. And it really became the go-to system for in-dummy systems around the world. Another key innovation of the G5 product was the fact that we had a zero insertion force connector panel. And it was actually designed to fit into docking ports inside of crash test dummies very easily. Now, some of our customers, namely Toyota, noticed that this module could be in fact plugged in to different kinds of docking ports. And so they asked us if we could develop a vehicle docking station where these modules could be interchanged between a dummy application and a vehicle data recording application. And so based on that, we developed a couple of different vehicle docking station solutions where this module would plug in and then provide access to LEMO connectors like the larger DAS products of TDAS Pro. Another thing I want to add with regard to TDAS G5 is 21 years later, this product is still very relevant. We sell it today new, and it still fills a very important need in the market. And in fact, all of the TDAS product line, all the way back to the very early TDAS1, all of these products are still in use by various customers around the world. So we're pushing 30 years on product development, and we really have not had a product that has been truly obsolete because it's old. And I think that really is a big thing. One thing I also will touch on is that the TDAS1 product development actually led to the development of our very first data logger product, which was built on TDAS1 technology. We called it the MDAS for Micro Data Acquisition System. We're not going to talk in detail about the data logger development today, but I just wanted to note that there are spin-off benefits to the development of these various DAS generations. In 2007, the time was right for DTS to do something very different with its DAS development. And so we developed the SLICE concept, which is generation 6 of our DAS technology. This product line was developed to provide great functionality in a small, low-mass footprint and be expandable in 3-channel increments. Why do we call it SLICE? Well, because each module is one little slice, and it contains 3 channels of either bridge inputs, voltage inputs, IEP inputs, and so on. The technology we developed for SLICE, or Generation 6, has been packaged into the Nano package, the Micro package, and the IP68 package, which is designed to be fluid-proof. Now, this technology is so small and flexible and scalable in small increments that it is regularly embedded into test articles of all types, including things like pedestrian head forms, leg forms, industrial testing applications where they need high capability in a small space, fully self-contained data acquisition that can be put just about anywhere. In 2012, TDAS systems were still the go-to systems for automotive and aerospace crash testing and lots of other industrial testing applications. But we decided we needed a new product line that took advantage of the latest technology. And that's where SLICE Pro, or the 7th generation DTS DAS technology, came about. The idea with SLICE Pro is that it would replicate all of the great features and functions of the TDAS Pro and TDAS G5 product lines, but do it in a smaller footprint with enhanced features like a much larger memory, direct write to flash memory, larger battery capacity so we could have a much longer runtime on the internal batteries, and maintain the modular nature of the system, where we could have sensor input modules and Ethernet or USB controllers attached for the different types of communication we might want to use. And we could build a very large channel count system for typical crash tests that, again, could be in the 200 to 300 channel range. In the year 2016, DTS became very involved in the development process for the Warrior Injury Assessment Manikin that was being developed for the US Army to do blast mitigation testing. And DTS, as the instrumentation partner in the WIAMan program, proposed a unique concept where we would try to shrink, miniaturize all of the great features and functions of the earlier generation products into a tiny module, a tiny 6-channel module that could be distributed around the dummy wherever it was needed. And the beauty of this system was it could be actually bolted right onto load cells that had mating connectors. It could be bolted onto sensor interfacing connector blocks and so forth all around the dummy, thus eliminating most of the sensor wiring inside the dummy. The WIAMan dummy is a very high channel count dummy, capability for around 150 channels, and so minimizing the wiring for a device intended for the blast test environment was a key goal. The SLICE6 data acquisition system was very successful for the WIAMan program, and it immediately pointed the way toward other applications in the common crash test dummies used in automotive and aerospace testing, like Hybrid 3 and Thor and some of the side impact dummies and even BioRed. And so this technology became the go-to system for putting together integrated crash test dummies. Now, SLICE6 technology was really the 8th generation DAS product we developed and a go-to product for crash test dummy integration. But we realized that we wanted to get into other markets that needed the support of precision timing protocol over Ethernet and the ability to capture UART or serial data streams, and also to transmit data at high data rates over the Ethernet interface. And so that is what led to the 9th generation product, which is SLICE6 AIR. And SLICE6 AIR essentially combines all of the features that started with the TDAS Pro, evolved through the G5 into the SLICE Pro and SLICE world in a very tiny package with a dedicated 6-channel interface that could be used almost anywhere. So here we have 9 successful generations of DTS DAS, and we're not stopping with 9. We're currently working on new designs that take advantage of the latest technology, and we're actively listening to customers day in and day out to make sure we hit the mark in the years ahead. The spirit of innovation lives on at DTS, but we can't do it alone. We need to hear from you, our customers, so that we fully understand what it takes to make products that will satisfy your testing requirements. Happy testing!